Okay, good evening for everyone. Today I'm going to explain about the pandemic and online education. With the first topic, we have migration to virtual education. There are many sectors that little by little, in full respect of the recommendations of social isolation, begin to provide solutions and add from their place. One of the sectors that has had to respond urgently to this crisis situation is education. Um, Researchers, teachers, students, and the administrative teams that support their activities have told the world that training doesn't stop, that learning is not proposed for this reason. In titanic effort, they have implemented virtual education strategies in just a few weeks. It's true that there are aspects of personal training that will be very difficult to transfer to the online modality. However, it's imperative in this context to migrate to non face to face education. The traditional classroom is a potential source of contagion, and for this reason, prevent measures against the transmission of this virus have always included among their first actions the cancellation of face to face classes at all levels, and it's possible that one of the last activity to be allowed against is to gather students back in classroom to participate in class. For this reason, for several weeks, we will have millions of people facing a new way of teaching and learning. Another topic here we have network learning students and teacher. I can say that the students has always been the axis of education. However, in virtual education, it becomes the undis- undisputed protagonist in a master session in face-to-face modality. The responsible for developing and explaining the content belongs to the teacher on the country. In the virtual education model, the master class by video conference is the digital content. What predominates is a word of orientation to the students, offer him mechanisms that all allow him to explore the subject. Thus, in virtual education, the students guide by the teacher use many of resources provided by the digital environment to access valuable information and carry out activities that allow them to consolidate knowledge and develop skills. Virtual education is a part of a culture of converge and sharing. For this reason, it's recommended that the teacher indicate as subject material the use of the various free training resources found in the digital environment. From a scientist article, the complement courses found online. Clearly, this individual student experience must then be discussed and enriched in the virtual classroom. Eh, eh, em, em, and finally, in virtual education, the role of the teacher contemplates the planning and monitoring of the students' learning process to ensure that the objectives of the subject are met in this sense. The teacher must be able to facilitate and promote the use of the media ecosystem in which the student operates, such as social networks and collaborative digital environments. Taking advantage of these interactive platforms and online activities for educational purposes can be a very successful strategy if you know how to handle it. Another topic that is very important in this process is the evaluation. It's important to also refer to the evaluation system. The traditional evaluation supposes isolating the student from any sort of information during the time that the exam lasts. This is impossible in virtual education because the students can take the exam accompanied by the material they want and even compare their answers with a group of classmates in real time. For this reason, it's important to design assessment that access the development on competences. For example, discussion forums can be created for the students to periodically comment critically on a subject. It's also important leave share assessment that have a very clear personal implications, such as applying a topic studied to a particular context or to a specific topic that the students is passionate about, and in relation to the final exam, the mechanisms per excellence is to set an evaluation with a timer. That's due to the time limitation. The students will be to concentrate on answering the questions posed instead of dedicating themselves to constructing or controversial with others during the extra time. Another topic that consider is important is overcoming the crisis with education. Okay, it's important to thanks all the teachers that and students who are demonstrate their strengths and relays these days in difficulties times that show character and what we are made of. I have been tests. I know that we have researchers and teachers with a clear vocation. Who haven't schemed on spending hours a day to train themselves and be able to provide the best education to their students. Also, I have observed first class students who haven't only taken an active role in informing and transmitting a message of civility and solidarity in these times, but who have understood that the value of any educational institution resides in its member or in their common thread. We've been better people increase better training and prepared to face the challenge of the future. To conclude of this explanation about the pandemic and online education is although it has positive aspects, it's currently full of obstacles and challenges in many countries, especially in Ecuador. Deposit some flexibility and the only alternative at this time. Continue without developing the physical and human resource infrastructures may prove ineffective. Network connections problem, the possibility of internet access to power features have become the main challenge. All these problems lead to the emergence of several unknowns whose answer must be generated of the fly. Are teachers motivated and prepared to take this new educational challenge? Are the necessary technical resources and political institution to carry out the doubting task? Will the family have the appropriate environment to support the educational work that it untable? Well, to these questions are add to many others that bring during the course of the pandemic. I don't know if you have some questions for me. If you have questions, you can put the chat and mm, I can answer you. Can put the questions, please? I don't know. Okay. The first questions is what are the difficulties of virtual education? For me, the difficulties that arise in virtual education are the lack of knowledge of the management of technological resources, technical materials, virtual media, and the lack of the implementation of the learning strategies. Yes, that's all. I don't know if you have another questions. If you have another question, you can put on the chat, please. Okay. Here we have two questions. What can be done to improve virtual education? Okay. The answer is create a welcome learning environment that recognizes emotions without seeing each other in the classroom, fostering compression and maintain attention, deposit distractions. Another can be promote activity and collaborative learning, even if we are alone at home. Here we have another questions. That's interesting. That is interesting. That question. What are the advantages and disadvantages of virtual classes? Okay. Okay. Advantages of online education. Learn without leaving home, resource saving, system flexibility, in main sign of knowledge. And here we have one disadvantage of online education. It works in the intention to learn. It requires hours in front of the computer. Without technology, there is no e-learning. And I think that is finally. If you have another question, put please. What the teachers? Okay, and finally, questions is what do teachers think of virtual education? The teacher warns that the online class system has been useful to generate a rapport with parents and the students, but he assures that sometimes not all children have the possibility of accessing education through the internet. Okay, and finally, thanks for your attention and hope that like you and thank you.